If you happen to notice, most of us don't know a lot about shepherding, right? Because we don't hang out in Ireland or any other area of the country that actually shepherds. And I happen to grow up next to a shepherd or a sheep farm, so I do know a little bit, but not a tremendous lot. But I do know a couple things, and there's a reason that I chose the image in our newsletter, if you happen to get the newsletter, because if you saw the newsletter, what you saw was like a row of stones that maybe are about 3 foot high. You know, sheep won't jump. They won't jump over a wall like that. It doesn't need to be very high. In fact, 2 feet is about as high as they'll ever jump. So what shepherds would do is out in the hinterland, when they were shepherding, when they were grazing their flocks, they would build these pens, and they're just 2 foot walls, and they go for quite a big circle, but big enough to hold the flock. And then at night, the shepherd would bring the flock into the sheepfold, that's what it's called, sheepfold, and then would lay themselves across the gate, because there was no gate, right? It was just an opening. And the shepherd who laid there was called the shepherd's gate, okay? Because sometimes you had multiple shepherds grazing in the fields, and so you had different flocks. So the shepherd's gate would be the person who would let the other shepherds in and out of the gate, and they would call their sheep, and the sheep would literally follow them out. And if it wasn't their shepherd, they wouldn't follow him. So the shepherd's gate was the shepherd who laid in front of the gate so that the sheep wouldn't go out at night. And the sheep won't jump over, but wolves would jump in. So that's why they're called thieves and marauders, right? It's because the sheep would jump inside the gate. I actually firmly believe today that our gospel can actually lead us to some profound reflection on how maybe you and I are called, by virtue of our baptism, to be that shepherd's gate, right? The one who lays in front of the sheepfold, like we are for creation. So I really believe that you and I are the shepherd's gate for creation. It's through us that either the marauders come, or the weird shepherds, or the shepherds who aren't really the shepherds, or the shepherds who really are. I really believe that we can do that, and that's actually what we are called to by our baptism. We spent the season of Lent exploring the encyclical written by my fellow bishop, Pope Francis, in which he invites all of us into a dialogue that I think for far too long we've been ignoring. That dialogue is about a care for God's creation, a care which we have been ignoring and which we have long used as domination for the world rather than dominion. If you get it, dominion is a verb. Dominion is an active participation of stewardship. Domination is the use and abuse. We've been doing domination thinking because we've been told we had dominion over the birds of the air and the flocks of the field and all of that, right? But we've flipped it around and we've been abusing the earth. In fact, I think many businesses today have talk more about the care for creation because they realize that they're running out of resources, right? And they're running out fast. So they begin to talk about this faster than we as the church have done. We have been given dominion, but not domination, right? To that end, on this last day of April, the day or the month in which we celebrate Earth Day, I've invited Ingrid Mattsson to break open God's Word with us tonight by sharing her insights and her wisdom from her work as an agent of sustainability for Uponor. I don't know if I was supposed to say that on loud. A very large international company that really works on carrying 87% of what makes us up, water, right? Water. So I'm going to invite her to share with us her insights, her wisdom, and her experience of what it might mean for us to be a shepherd's gate for creation.
Thank you, Bishop Marty. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
My work in sustainability has been going on for 20 plus years, and during this time, I've met many sleeping shepherds who are disbelieving in the scientifically proven facts that rising planetary temperatures, rising oceans, and the melting ice caps are being caused, to a vast extent, by human ignorance, waste, greed, and the insatiable desire for more consumable goods, primarily due to the burning of fossil fuels like coal, oil, gas, which produce heat-trapping gases such as carbon. In other words, they don't believe in climate change, despite the writings and warnings, some starting as early as 500 BC, that have been written about the damage we are inflicting on Mother Earth. Even businesses today are gradually realizing that at the heart of sustainability, it is the goal to find the balance between three essentials: people, planet, and profitability. They're called the 3 Ps. The balance is critical, and for too long, we have lived in a world where most everything bows to the P of profitability. And if you're not aware, the science tells us that our current rate of manufacturing and consumption, if it were to continue as it has been for the last several decades, it would require resources of 5 Earths to maintain. Mother Earth has decided to give some feedback, and it's not very positive. So what is it about these topics of sustainability and climate change that causes so much discord, debate, and disagreement? The disciples lived alongside and with Jesus, and yet they had many doubts. Doubts about walking on the water, doubts about the miracles, doubts about the resurrection. They saw with their own eyes, and yet it was hard to believe. Perhaps their brains couldn't process these extraordinary things, or perhaps it was fear. In the same way, I wonder if we can't process all the things that science says will happen as a result of climate change. We are a population of 8 billion people living on a planet where the resources, including and especially water, are starting to run thin. In the summer of 2022, just last year, satellite mapping of the Amazon rainforest saw a 40% increase of deforestation from just the previous year alone. The results of overpopulation, deforestation, and increased carbon in the atmosphere means hotter temperatures, more severe storms throughout not only the United States but the world, increased drought, a warming, rising ocean, loss of species, more pandemics, poverty, and mass displacement. Fear is certainly understandable. Denial is no longer an option, and ignorance is no longer a reason for inaction on our part. Yet, there is hope. There is the possibility that we can wake up and be good shepherds once again. What if we take the time to learn and understand, and instead of living in fear or denial, we begin to see options for hope? We can do better. We all can make an effort, even in the smallest ways. At a bare minimum, just become aware. Some easy tasks are to be sure to recycle, be careful with your water consumption, turn off unnecessary lights, and bring your own bags to the grocery and other stores. There's so much more, but this is a good starting place. As stewards of God's creation, as the sheep gate for God's creation, Christianity teaches that humans have a responsibility towards the environment. Christians have a duty to do what they can to ensure that they are environmentally responsible. We are entrusted with the sheep in the sheepfold. We are the shepherds and the stewards. And yet as a society, we're living like we're the wolves out to destroy the sheep. Nonetheless, I personally believe we have hit a tipping point with regards to awareness and understanding of climate change. I know Bishop Marty has come to believe this as well. We are at a tipping point, and we need to wake up and begin to realize that we have to change. We can ask for God's guidance, and we can commit to setting forth a new path. People, communities, companies, and governments are waking up now that we're seeing the impacts accelerate around us. I go to many conferences, and I see amazing innovation and possibility. There is so much information out there on sustainability and how to make a difference. Just go on the internet and you can find just profound amounts of information. The disciples took up the call to go out and preach the good news of hope due to the resurrection of the Messiah. Our community is called Spirit of Hope. We can offer hope. We can live the liturgy of our lives if we simply choose to. We can do more to recycle, to reduce, reuse, and care for this amazing gift, this planet that we have been given. What if we all take up the call to do better and be better when it comes to caring for our planet? Will it all be too late? I'm optimistic that it's not. Imagine, what if we could change the trajectory of our world by what we do? Imagine, what if?